Hello, I'm Daniel Krupa. This is former Chelsea defender Frank LeBeuf, and you're watching the Superhero Show because you're a lovely person. This week we're going to be talking about your casting suggestions, the Gotham TV series, which is knocking up a gear. But Frank, you have the first story.
Well, firstly, I'm not Frank LeBeuf. That's what it says on the bag.
Okay.
And secondly, I forgot to put eyes in it, so I'm going to have to take it off. But I do have the first bit of news. And that is from Drew Pearce, who I spoke to this week.
He's your best chum now, isn't he?
He was one of the nicest men I've ever interviewed. Drew Pearce is the writer of Iron Man 3, co-wrote it. And he's just directed his first film, the one-shot playing on the Thor: The Dark World Blu-ray, which is called All Hail the King. And it's about the character that he created, Trevor Slattery.
Yeah, I'm sure we can talk about this now. You wouldn't be watching the Superhero Show if you've not seen Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
So this is the non-Mandarin character played by Ben Kingsley.
Yes, and he's done a short that's on the Blu-ray, which I haven't seen, so I can't actually say what's in it. But I spoke to Drew about it, as well as his forthcoming projects. And he was saying to me, I asked him what other Marvel properties he'd like to work on. He said he'd love to write Doctor Strange.
Yeah, everyone would.
He said he'd love to write Black Panther. But he also talked about...
Not that he knows that those are the ones in production or anything.
Well, he kind of teased that a little bit. He said, I think it's going to be amazing to see what happens with Doctor Strange, if indeed anything is going to happen
really
with him.
caught himself.
He kind of qualified that, yeah. But he also talked about a property called Damage Control, which I wasn't aware of.
Okay.
This is what he said.
It's quite high concept, isn't it?
It sounds great. He said, my biggest desire is to do something with Damage Control, which was a short-lived and very patchy conceptual comic from the 1980s about the cleanup team in the Marvel Universe. I think there's a brilliant Damage Control movie to be done that basically views all the phases of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but from the point of view of blue-collar, working-class people who also may have superpowers. It would be a brilliant point of view from which to revisit some of the events of the MCU. And also, I think there's a really brilliant, refreshing, different superhero story to be told in that. I think that sounds really interesting.
Pitching it. He's got his elevator pitch down anyway.
And I like the idea of revisiting stories. So
yeah,
maybe
I like this meta film that encompasses them all.
Yeah, so they could show up at the end of Avengers and they've got to tidy up New York.
Yeah, just like, oh! I like the flip side is the DC Universe equivalent, and they just get to Metropolis at the end of Man of Steel and just go, sod this.
Bollocks. I think that sounds really interesting and sufficiently different in the same way that, you know, we're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy being different to the Marvel movies we've seen so far. This would be another take.
Yeah.
And maybe more of a kind of comedy, satire take of what's going on in these movies.
Yeah, I think that's a film I'd like to see. Do you want to hear some casting news?
I do.
This is what the show's basically about now. It's about casting news.
Okay, what you got for me?
There's rumours that there might be another new character to Avengers 2.
That's what I needed.
You need more characters.
Not enough.
There's rumours from Latino Review.
Okay.
Always with the rumour.
Yeah, they break some good stuff.
That Ms. Marvel might be in the Avengers.
Okay, not Miss Marple. Miss Marvel.
I hope Miss Marple's in it. Miss Marvel might be introduced as a character. I think this kind of goes back to what we were talking about last week about subtly seeding new characters to take over. Is this great relay race that is a huge franchise that's going to run for years.
Yeah.
Set up a new character, end this film, introduce her, make her into a main character part of the Avengers. No idea who might be linked with the role just yet.
I think that's a good thing. I mean, we need more female superheroes. There's no doubt about it, especially on the big screen.
Well, we are going to get another female superhero we know for a fact in Avengers 2, which is Scarlet Witch. Mm-hmm. And this week, Elizabeth Olsen's been talking about a role in that movie and the kind of very outrageous, very revealing costume that she frequently wears in the comics.
Yeah.
And that's just not going to be happening.
Okay.
She said, Joss did not hire me because I'm not an athlete, I'm not a model, I'm not going to be wearing this, kind of exploitative costume.
Yeah.
So they're going to find a way around that. But I imagine they were going to do that anyway.
Yeah, I guess hardcore fans of the character won't be happy that the costume's changing.
Yeah.
But, it's in this day and age, this stuff is sexist, isn't it? Some of these outfits, you look like a misogynist, you put that up on screen. So what worried me, though, was her saying that she's not athletic. She's going to have to become athletic if you're going to be a superhero.
And do some of the stunt work.
It goes with the territory these days, If you look at what Scarlett Johansson's doing in these movies.
Yeah. Just
I'm finding that you're not a model, even though she's gorgeous. But
yeah. It's good that you find me. I find you're not a model. That's all right.
But yeah, get in the gym, Elizabeth.
Look, have you seen what Chris Hemsworth's doing? He's in there every day.
He's massive. He's massive. But I believe they've started shooting this week as well, haven't they? Age of Ultron.
Yeah, also, apparently ILM are opening a studio in London to cater for Star Wars, but also all the Marvel films that are shooting in London.
This I didn't know.
It's going to be opening just around the corner from our office on Tottenham Court Road.
Do you think we could shoot a superhero show from ILM?
It's breaking.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
What have I got? We're going to talk TV now because a big story the last few weeks rumbling on is the Gotham TV series. And they've started casting it. The main character is going to be Commissioner Gordon, young Commissioner Gordon in the show. And they've cast Ben McKenzie, who's in the cop show Southland, and he was also Ryan Atwood in the OC.
Ryan. Which is a big thing for people my generation.
Yeah.
It was like the show when I was at university and college. I never watched it, but everyone in our common room used to gather. Oh, Marissa.
I've never seen either of those shows, so I don't really know much
Marissa
about
died.
him. Oh, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But when I have caught bits of the OC, he strikes me as someone who always looks like he's about to burst into tears.
Well, he is that classic archetypal troubled teen.
So it's a bit Dawson. Is he a bit Dawson?
That role, yeah, but he was a bit edgy. I think he went into juvie.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
But he's grown up now.
Yeah.
And Southland, I hear really good things about Southland. Yeah.
We don't really get that over in the UK.
No. Well, if we do, we've not watched it.
No.
But yeah, so they've got their Commissioner Gordon, and then a few other roles have been cast. Who have we got? We've got Robin Lord Taylor, who's in The Walking Dead, will portray the young Oswald Copperpot. Cobblepot, why did I say that? Sabrina Guevara is from Burn Notice, is going to be Captain Sarah Essen. A Welsh actress called Erin Richards, who's in The Quiet Ones, which you just saw, didn't you?
Oh, all right, yeah.
She's been cast as Gordon's fiancée, Barbara Keane. Okay. And then probably the biggest one is Sean Pertwee has been cast as Alfred, who's big star, well, not a big star, but well-known over here in the UK, Dog Soldiers.
Equilibrium.
Yeah.
I think that's a real statement of intent, what that role is going to be about. Because the Waynes have just died recently. And so this version of Alfred's going to be incredibly protective, as he is in most versions of Little Bruce. But it sounds like he probably will be sucked into a lot of the things that Jim Gordon's doing.
Well, Sean Pertwee always plays tough guys. He normally plays soldiers, policemen.
And they're pulling on the element of Alfred as this kind of ex-SAS Marine.
He's a tough-as-nails ex-Marine from East London who's loyally served the Waynes. Now in the wake of their tragic deaths, he's fiercely protective of the young Bruce Wayne.
I hope he says slag a lot.
What does that mean?
Just slag. Like real Cockney hard.
Yeah. You
case.
map it.
Yeah, just slapping around the Penguin.
Yeah.
The guy who's been cast to play the Penguin.
Yep.
What's he called again?
His name is Robin Lord Taylor.
He was in The Walking Dead. He does look good casting, just visually. Like he's got the right features. I don't want to be too rude about him. He's got the right features for the Penguin.
And they've got a description of the Penguin in this one actually. It says, with the brains of a grand chess master and the morals of a jackal, Oswald Cobblepot is a low-level psychopath for gangster Fish Mooney, who hides his sadistic lust for power behind an exquisitely polite demeanour. Sounds like an interesting character.
Excellent character, and so the young Penguin. So that's interesting casting. Mm-hmm. Last week we asked you for your casting suggestions, so I want to go through them in a section that I've called the Secret Identity Parade. That is why they pay me the tiny bucks at IGN.
Nice.
So Rich, can we have some nice incidental music, please? Look at this. High quality production all around this. So the first suggestion is from Will Gray, who talks about The Punisher.
Okay.
So there we go. There's Frank Castle, The Punisher.
The Punisher.
His suggestion is Tough Nut Sean Bean, British actor Sean Bean.
Ooh.
Sheffield's finest.
Yeah, a blade.
He says, I know he's not, he's got blonde hair, so the internet will explode, but I just think he's so good. And he keeps thinking about his role in Patriot Games, where he played a single-minded revenge monster going after Jack Ryan. And I think he could use a lot of that inner rage in his role as the Punisher.
Okay, well, Sean Bean is really good at playing tough nuts.
Yeah.
He's so convincing. My only problem with that is the Punisher's a New York cop, a New York character. Yep. Sean Bean doesn't do accents. If you've seen him try an accent, it doesn't really work. Sheffield comes through, I don't think so.
Could we have a retelling of the Punisher just from Yorkshire?
Set in Sheffield.
The steel mines have gone to crap.
I know a good curry house in Sheffield. On Broom Hill, they could have his family killed in the curry house.
See, writes itself basically.
The
doesn't
Balti
it?
King.
But is that because every superhero needs a subtitle like : Punisher : the Balti King.
I'm saying no to this.
The Balti King sounds like a villain as well. Right,
What's up next?
Next hero is Black Panther. Now we're getting casting suggestions all the time. You said Drew Pearce mentioned it.
Yeah.
Sounds like this one is ramping up. So there is him in costume. Can we get him without the mask, Rich? There we go.
There he is.
Now, D. Ray Clark's wrote in, didn't really explain his suggestion. He just went, Jamon Hounsou, sorry. There he is.
Yeah.
Now, somebody else wrote in.
I'm just saying yes to that.
Just yes.
Nailed it.
Stephen Horsley wrote in, and he said the same thing, Jimon. He said he's already played the part in the cartoon miniseries, so he's got priors. He has the physical presence, the acting ability, as well as the accent to boot.
He does. He's bloody brilliant.
But Stephen also goes on to say, if you can't get him, Nonzo Anozie, who we talked about last week.
There he is.
He's also a great shout. He does, look at him. He's got stature, hasn't he?
But I'm going with Jumon.
Okay.
Yep.
Next one, bit more from left field, Plastic Man.
Okay.
Who would you suggest for that? I think you can kind of see it. Ronald Morgan says, I think Jim Carrey would be the perfect Plastic Man. He would be the perfect comic relief, and Carrey's face is already basically bendable and mouldable. I also think this would be interesting if it was directed by Tim Burton.
That's interesting. That is an interesting suggestion, but he was pretty terrible, I thought, as the Riddler. He was. Yeah. I didn't like his performance in that movie. And equally, he's done The Mask, which isn't that far off Plastic Man, so I'm going to say a no to that one.
No to that one. Okay, Matt Evans wrote in with another suggestion for Jim Carrey of Carnage, who is the Spider-Man villain. Now, we know Sony want to expand the Marvel universe, and they only have the rights to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So they're going to do a Venom movie, they're doing Sinister Six. Eventually, they might get around to doing Carnage, and his suggestion is Jim Carrey. And apparently that's been a rumour before. Okay,
well, nothing about Jim Carrey says to me Carnage.
Okay.
So I'm nixing that one.
Right, get rid of it. Right, next superhero up is Daredevil. There you go, Matt Murdock.
I'm going to suggest Ben Affleck for this.
He would be good, wouldn't he? And I think maybe get his wife to play a role in it as well. That would be, what a good movie that would be. That'd be such a good movie, and get Ian Duncan. No. Anyway, so Fontaine suggests Philip Winchester. Now, I'm not really familiar with this guy. He says that in Strike Back, he has shown great physicality in armed and unarmed combat, as well as being kind of a Boy Scout character and a comedic wisecracker.
Okay. So I've never seen Strike Back. I hear it's good, and a mate of mine directs it, so I'll have to ask him.
And I think he's in a lot of like lesser known movies and TV roles.
He looks tough.
We know Daredevil's coming to Netflix, and I think you want an actor who obviously wants to sign up to a big TV series. Yep. And you need, the way I imagine Daredevil is, it's going to be like Law and Order, but for the second half of the show, he's going to put on the suit and wreak his own kind of justice.
Yep.
And you need that kind of Boy Scout as well. So I think that's a pretty good suggestion. I'd like to see him in more stuff, though.
Out of left field, like it.
Okay, next hero, the Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange.
Oh, now this is a big one.
Like Black Panther, we know this one is kicking up probably for Phase 3.
And I remember what's come up a few times is a Mark Strong to play this character.
Mark Strong for everything. Ian Resham has several suggestions. I've kind of cherry-picked my favourites.
Okay.
The first one is kind of an obvious one. He is linked with everything. It's not Benedict Cumberbatch. It is Michael Fassbender.
Okay, can we put Michael Fassbender in every movie? Because he elevates everything he does.
Yep.
I'd have that one.
I believe he's playing a Velociraptor in Jurassic World.
That's getting a thumbs up from
Method. I don't know. I think it's too complex him being Magneto, and I think the X-Men series is about to be kind of reignited.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be tied up.
Yeah.
Next one, I think you want someone with a bit more gravitas. Let's see the next one, which is Liam Neeson. We know he's doing more blockbuster roles these days.
Yeah.
He's doing more action-based stuff.
Man, yeah. I don't know.
Has he got a pain to him?
I'm not having it.
To him?
I'm not having it. I think he's done his superhero movie though.
Okay. Ian also suggests Ewan Grufford, Toby Stephens, and Adrian Brody. But I think my favourite of his suggestions is Viggo Mortensen.
Ooh.
And I don't know whether it's just because I found that image on Google Images.
He looks very pretty there with his long flowing locks.
Oh, I just love him. Look at him. Look at his kind of mystical pendant peeking out of his shirt.
I really like that. That's a really good idea. Well, again, that's a bit out of left field as well.
He's a really smart actor.
Yeah.
He's a really intelligent man. He does loads of stuff outside of acting.
Yep.
I think he's got that kind of gravitas to him. And yeah, I think it's kind of those left field kind of casting where, like, you look back and Robert Downey Jr. just makes such sense now.
Yeah.
I think that could be the same.
It's a good one. Okay. You heard it here first.
Next up, superhero very close to our hearts, Brian Braddock. Captain Britain.
Captain Britain.
So, Captain Britain, James Cleverly wrote in, and he said he had loads of great suggestions. Couldn't go through them all, James, I'm afraid, for the Excalibur movie. But he says that he would like Brian Braddock to be played by Downton Abbey's Dan Stevens. An exceptionally gifted actor who can bring the right levels of nobility and strength to the role.
Well, that picture's not ideal, is it?
I probably didn't do James' suggestion any favours with my picture selection there. But look at him, cheeky with his wavy hair.
Yeah, he's just done a movie, a thriller, whose name I can't remember, and he's getting absolutely rave reviews, like a horror thriller from the guys that did You're Next. So I'm here, from my mates in the States who've seen this, they're saying that this guy's the next big thing.
You know who I thought would be a good suggestion for this when I was
The Guest, sorry, the film's called The Guest.
When I was pulling suggestions for this, you know who'd be good? Because I think you need, even though British guys, maybe this isn't fair, because British actors play all these American superheroes, but you'd like a British guy to play Captain Britain, obviously.
I think you would, yeah.
Charlie Hunnam.
Charlie Hunnam, Sons of Anarchy.
Big star, bankability. So thanks for that one, James. Now the final one is pained villain Michael Morbius from the Spider-Man series.
Who is a living vampire.
Yeah, Adam Holloway suggests Michael C. Hall. You might know him better as Dexter.
Yeah.
He think he'd be an excellent and less obvious choice to play Morbius.
Yeah.
It wouldn't take much of a stretch for him to play a sympathetic villain who is obsessed with blood. There you go.
I like what he's done there.
I picked a picture with blood on his face, suggesting vampirism. He definitely has the range as an actor to pull off being tormented with his addiction and the rage that comes with it. Yeah, so I think that's a really sensitive choice by Adam.
Yeah, and I've met Michael C. Hall. That man is intense.
Is he really?
Intense. Yeah, I think that's quite good casting.
Okay.
So good. That was the gallery. Good idea, Dan.
Thank you.
Let's make this a recurring
feature. We'll do that every now and then, I guess.
If you guys like it.
Yeah.
But it was great to get some feedback on that front. We got a lot this week, actually. Our one viewer must be writing in under many different pseudonyms. But I got some more. Ian Maynard wrote to us. Thank you for writing in. He said, I have to say I really love the show. Thanks for making the weekend even better. I shouldn't have read that out. That's a bit show-offy, isn't it?
Yeah, but you wanted to read it out because you highlighted it.
I was interested to know if you think the Civil War storyline might be used in Marvel's Phase 3, particularly in the rumoured Captain America 3. I only say this as it has been rumoured that the Winter Soldier might take over from Steve Rogers in the comics. Thoughts?
Civil War is a massive story. It kind of consumed so many different lines. I think to do it at this point in the Marvel Cinematic Universe might be a bit too big of a venture, because we know a lot of the filmmakers have talked about the kind of practical difficulties of keeping all the films on the same page.
Yeah.
To set up that kind of shared continuity for one big storyline, I think that's going to take a lot of work.
And the trouble is, it involves the Marvel characters, but it's different. They're with different studios as well.
Yeah.
So you've got
you'd
Spider-Man,
have to do either a watered-down version.
Yeah, you've got Spider-Man, X-Men, and some of the Avengers in there. So it's not doable in a business sense right now.
They might. As always, they might take elements.
Yeah.
Or one day in a kind of utopian world where all the studios got together and went, let's make the biggest superhero movie of all time, and made a Civil War trilogy or something like that.
One day to see.
One day, but they'll all probably be really old by then.
We need to talk to Mark Miller about that one.
Okay.
He also writes, also, if I may ask, how much of the Age of Ultron story do you think will be used in the upcoming Avengers film?
I guess he probably means the Bendis storyline. Elements again.
Yeah.
You know, storylines in comics are building on 40 years of accumulated mythology.
Yeah.
You have to make it play to the wider audience. So again, it's all about adaptation. And adaptation, it works when you take the spirit of something and you make it make sense for the new medium. Yeah. And I think that's what Marvel in particular have shown all along. They know how to take the characters, retain the essence, but adapt it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they'll do.
Joss Whedon isn't going to take that story and put it in the movie wholesale.
He wants to do his own story.
Exactly. And who wants to release a movie when everyone kind of knows the storyline already?
Yeah, look it up.
They want surprises. And also, I have an email from Darius, who says, do you guys think that some of the lesser-known comic book heroes outside the Marvel or DC universes will get more films? Those that have tended to earn something of a cult following. Kick-Ass, Scott Pilgrim, V for Vendetta, Hellboy, Dredd, and Watchmen. Which is an interesting question, and it all comes down to money, I think. Not too many of these films were huge successes. Some of them were modest successes. Some of them didn't really make much money at all.
Some were acclaimed, but...
Yeah, these films will get sequels if the studio thinks there's enough money in them. I mean, Kick-Ass and Kick-Ass 2 didn't cost a lot of money. I think there's a good chance we'll see Kick-Ass 3. Scott Pilgrim, yeah, I think that one's dead in the water.
Yep.
Cost a lot of money. It kind of made its money back, but wasn't a huge success. V for Vendetta, that was a bit of a disappointment. Hellboy, they've talked about it for years. Ron Perlman wants to do one. Guillermo del Toro said he'd like to do one. Who knows if that will ever get off the ground.
Oh, Dredd.
Dredd.
I feel like Dredd's become a cult classic even in the short time it's been released. It kind of famously didn't do all that well theatrically, but it's done really well on home ends. And
wasn't there an online campaign to get?
Yeah, I don't know. I have to admit, I don't really know the status of that. Because I know Alex Garland's right up for it.
He's keen to do it, and he obviously, towards the end of that movie, he was kind of in the director's chair, actually, in the edit suite. He's just directed his first movie, so who knows if his first movie that he directed outright does well, he might have the clout to get it off the ground. I don't know. We'd love to see it because we're huge fans of that one. And then Watchmen. No.
You want to see another one of them. But as always, we love hearing from you about anything and everything. Now, this week, we've got a little competition. Exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's new Batman Lego coming out. There's going to be 4 sets released, and we've got some of them here. Look at this one. This is the biggest of the 4 sets. We've got 5 lots of the 4 sets to give away. Unfortunately, we can only give them away to people who write in from the UK. But if you want to enter the competition, send us an email about something. In the subject line, put Superhero Show and send that to IGN_UKfeedback@IGN.com. That incredibly memorable email address.
I thought you were sorting out a new email address for us.
I've had a lot on.
Okay.
I've had a lot on.
Can we give away 4 of these and can I have one?
Yeah, we'll give away some of them. We'll give away one.
Okay,
but there's 4 sets ranging from a little tiny one up to this one, and they're all really, really cool, and we're going to build this at lunchtime.
Awesome.
So yeah, write in and the ones we read out next week, you'll get the sets.
Cool.
So yeah, don't forget to send us where you live.
Good thinking. Great, and that's it from us this week. So thanks for watching, and keep it tuned to IGN for all your superhero needs. I'm going to put the bag back on my head now.
I think that's probably best.